This February, I read 11 books: fiction, leadership, business strategy, philosophy, and character development. Some of these books challenged me, but some of them humbled me, and a few of them unsettled me. So today, I am walking you through all the 11 books that I read this month, what they are about, and more importantly, what they actually taught me. So if you are building your mind, your career, or your business, then this episode is for you. Let's dig in. The first book for me was Be Fearless, Give Yourself Permission to Be You by Jane Egerton-Idehen. Be Fearless talks about showing up fully as yourself, especially in corporate spaces that were not necessarily designed with you in mind. So this book is bold, very vulnerable, and very practical. And my biggest takeaway is that you don't rise by shrinking. No, there is a quiet confidence that comes from giving yourself permission in leadership, and this is very powerful. And in this channel, I have done a deep book review, unbiased, about this book, Be Fearless. The second book I read in February was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So this book is a classic. It's a simple story about a shepherd chasing treasure, but really this book, it's about purpose. What stood out for me particularly is that your personal legend requires movement. Dreams don't respond to hesitation. No, they respond to commitment. All right. The third and the fourth book in February were Me Before You and After You by Jojo Moyes. So I started reading Me Before You, and when I put it up on my status, a friend told me, "Oh, is this the movie you are watching?" And I'm like, "Oh, it has a movie." So I quickly switched from reading the book to watching Me Before You on Netflix. And after doing that, I went ahead to read the second part of this book series, After You. So these two books were highly moving and emotional. They explore love, grief, identity, and rebuilding after loss. However, beneath the romance, there is a deeper theme. Who are you when life does not go as planned? And growth is not always glamorous. I always say this, that growth is messy. It requires a lot of stretching. So sometimes it's just survival and one honest decision at a time. The fifth book, Radical Candor by Kim Scott. If you lead people anywhere, please go ahead and read this book. I think the framework is simple. One thing that I picked out from the book is this: you have to care personally for people, but you also have to challenge directly. So the book went ahead to say some people don't care personally and they challenge directly, and this is not a good way to lead people. Whereas other people care personally, they care personally, but they don't have the courage to challenge directly. And this is also not good when you are looking out for people's growth. Okay, so you need to care personally and challenge directly. Challenging directly does not mean embarrassing people openly. You should praise publicly and criticize privately, but you owe it to that person who you seek their growth to actually be upfront with them directly and challenge or confront that thing privately anyway. So most managers fail because they do one without the other. Like I said, either they care without challenging or they challenge without caring. Doing one or the other is not a good place to be in. So this book reminded me that leadership is not about being liked. No, it's simply about helping people grow, even when it is uncomfortable, even when uncomfortable conversations or difficult conversations have to be had. The sixth book for me in the month of February, The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. I had read The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing in the year 2024. So this is a second part in that series by Arise. This book is sharp and strategic, okay? The core idea is that branding is simply about focus. You can't be everything to everyone. You have the opportunity to have one thing that you are in people's mind. When people think about you or your product, what is one thing that comes to mind? The human brain is so limited in how much information it can store. So you have the chance to occupy just one thought in people's minds. What will that thought be? Even as a product, as a person, as a brand, there is only one slot you can occupy in people's minds because the storage, the amount of information a human brain can store is limited. So you cannot be everything to everyone. The strongest brands own only one word in the mind of people. So for anyone building a personal brand, this is essential. Okay, this reading is essential for you. You need to read this book and look at the 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. The seventh book for me was The Road to Character by David Brooks. Okay, this book contrasts resume virtues and eulogy virtues. Resume virtues are skills, achievements, titles, but eulogy virtues are character, integrity, humility, things that don't make it to the resume. So in a world obsessed about visibility, this book pulls you inward to build those eulogy virtues. Who are you essentially becoming? The eighth book, Animal Farm by George Orwell. Okay, so this book is short, brutal, and brilliant. I really liked how, is it the brevity now, how short, concise, packed the book was. It's a political allegory, okay? But beyond that, it's also about power. Power corrupts slowly, quietly, and incrementally. And the most dangerous leaders often begin with noble intentions. The intentions are always noble. They always begin from a good place, and then they slip down that path or that road. So it's still relevant, and it's very uncomfortable because it challenges a lot in the current landscape or in the current world. The ninth book is 4,000 Weeks. This book is about time management for we mortals, okay? An average person who lives to the age of 80 years only has 4,000 weeks to spend here on earth. So this is roughly the average human lifespan. So this book completely reframes productivity. You are not meant to optimize every minute. You are meant to choose what matters to you, prioritize, choose what aspect of life you are actually going to fail at or not be your best at, and that's okay. Choose it and don't let life choose it for you. So it's less about doing more, but more about doing what counts, what matters to you in every season of your life. Book number 10, To Kill a Mockingbird. Book is a masterpiece. It's about justice, morality, and courage. Atticus Finch represents principled leadership under pressure. What struck me most is this: doing what is right rarely feels powerful in the moment. It feels costly. It can be lonely too at times because you might be the only one standing on the side of truth. But character is built in those quiet decisions that we make. Book number 11, and the last book in the month of February, Built to Last by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras. This book talks about successful habits of visionary companies. This book studies companies that endured, that lasted, and what was the insight? That visionary companies preserve the core and stimulate progress. They don't chase trends, no. They anchor values. So if you are building something for the long term, maybe a business, a brand, a career, this book is a must-have. I must say that when it comes to length, I felt it was a bit lengthy. I felt it could do more with being short and concise, but overall, it gave me the gist of what I wanted. So looking across all these 11 books, the patterns that were emerging: for fiction, it explored character. Business books explored systems. Leadership books explored responsibility. And philosophy explored time and meaning and the essence of life. But they all pointed to the same thing: success without character collapses, okay? Character is that anchor that helps you to build, okay? It's a solid foundation. Ambition without clarity distracts you because you'll be all over the place without knowing where to focus or channel your vision into. Productivity without purpose is very, very exhausting, all right? Productivity, but there's no purpose. Your purpose will determine your path, as was discussed in a previous podcast with Victor Okugo. So this month reminded me that growth is actually layered, okay? You build skill, you build strategy, but most importantly, in the process of doing all these, building skills, building strategy, don't forget that it is yourself that you are actually building. So if you had to pick just one of these books to read next, I'll ask you, are you trying to build your inner life? Are you trying to build leadership capacity or strategic thinking? Let me know in the comments which direction you are leaning, and I'll recommend one for you. And if you enjoy deep thinking from books, from fiction to boardroom strategy, kindly hit the subscribe button, because knowledge is powerful. But applied knowledge, applying that knowledge, that is what changes everything. Not just the knowledge sitting in your head or in the books, but putting it into action, going out there, putting those knowledge into action. That translates that knowledge. That's what makes it the potential energy to become kinetic, to become knowledge in motion, is what actually changes your life. Okay. See you in my March book review. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.